Hi everybody and welcome to the first His and Hers podcast. So this will be a podcast for both me and Charlotte, presenting sort of what we do every day in terms of business, what we do every day in terms of coaching, and generally giving you a bit of an insight into our businesses and also our life as online coaches as well. So firstly, welcome Charlotte. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. So me and Charlotte obviously are a couple who are in the fitness industry who also do online coaching. Charlotte is a high-level competitor. I coach Charlotte as well, which brings its own complications as well. And also I've just sold a couple of gyms. So again, people are always quite interested in, the business side of things as well, because not only did I own several gyms, I owned several houses, which I've sold as well. So I always get questions in and around, like, what do you do every single day? How's your routine built? And so on and so forth. And Charlotte, I'm sure you get some questions which are similar to that as well in terms of your training, obviously being a high-level athlete and also coaching a number of people into shows as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's about finding routine that works for you and allows you to get everything done in the day to be productive.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to just kick off by sort of introducing myself to people who don't know who I am. So my name's Rob. I own a business which is called Team LRF. I started coaching people in and around about 2011, 2012. And at the time, it was mostly males. Well, actually, it was all males. So I firstly started coaching just bodybuilders. I was a competitive bodybuilder myself. I was reasonably good. I'm by no means great, but I was reasonably good at an amateur level. I won shows, I placed top 3, and I did quite well. And I got into coaching solely through repetition myself. So I learned several different ways of prepping. I helped several different people prep who, touch wood and lucky enough, did really, really well to start with. My first 2 athletes won and came second. And from there, it sort of just spiraled then from there. So people were asking me for help. And this was when bodybuilding wasn't cool. Bodybuilding really wasn't cool back then. You were probably the only person in your gym to compete. You were seen as a bit weird if you competed. Where now it's got a complete spin on it. It's now cool to compete and everybody competes and everybody wants to do it to look good. Whereas before it was weird. It was really weird. It was weird that I took my food out to nightclubs. I would go out with my mates at 18, 19 years old, and I knew I wanted to be a bodybuilder, and I would take chicken and rice with me, leave it in the car, leave the club for a bit. I was only drinking water. I was always a designated driver, and I would go out and eat my food, and I would do that continuously, and I did that continuously for years and years and years until I actually then started competing as a bodybuilder. And I competed for 4 or 5 seasons, depending on how you look at the season, because the season used to be across 2 years. It used to be 2011/2012. But now it's all in one season. So yeah, that's general background on my bodybuilding sort of career, very brief description on my bodybuilding career and how I started coaching as well. Charlotte, maybe you can give the listeners a bit of an insight into how you got into the sport as well.
Yes, so I was a bit of a gym goer, but just kind of to look good, feel good. I kind of did my own research into training, how I wanted to train and look like these girls. It was mostly stuff off of YouTube. Diet-wise, just kind of, again, going in blind really, but dieted a bit for holidays. I did a diet for a holiday. I went to Ibiza with some friends and I dieted down quite well. I felt quite good after. And after that holiday, I was training at LRF, Rob's gym, and that kind of training at that gym exposed me to people who competed, because obviously Rob coached a lot of people, so there were athletes who were there, sometimes seeing him for check-ins and things. So that exposed me to that side of it. So I enjoyed training so much, I wanted to test myself a little bit more and challenge myself, because I was already I wasn't doing anything correct, to be honest. I was training 6 days a week. I would go in and train after I'd been out the night before, out drinking with my friends, as I wasn't doing it correctly. But then I was okay, I really like doing this. I really like how I'm looking and I want to elevate it a little bit. And then it kind of went from there. Did a whole prep and then a lockdown hit. So that got cancelled, didn't it? Which was rubbish.
In the meantime, Charlotte slid into my DMs and was like, hey, can you help me?
I remember exactly what I said. I went into his emails. Back then it was emails. There was no inquiry form. And I was like, hey, I want to compete and I want you to coach me. When can we start? And waited for him to reply. Anyway, yeah. So Rob was coaching me. We went into lockdown. That prep got cancelled. So I was training in my garden, how everyone was. Eventually I did end up doing a show. I did 3 classes. I did first timers. I was a junior at that point, so I did juniors and open class, and I won them all. And I was like, okay, like I'm quite good at this. So that was my first show, and it kind of went from there. I just love competing, love being on stage. I used to do like theatre when I was a child, so I've been on stage before, like amateur dramatics kind of stuff. So that kind of side of it came quite naturally to me. And yeah, so I did a load of shows with lots of different federations, and I'm an IFBB pro now, and I am soon to be doing my pro debut, which is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great thing that we come from different eras of bodybuilding, although obviously we're not massively different in terms of age. Like my bodybuilding journey is completely different to your bodybuilding journey, because during your bodybuilding journey, you saw people who competed and you knew people who competed, and there was social media and you had all that exposure. Whereas in my bodybuilding journey, there was none of that. Like the way that I learned how to train was I bought a magazine from the shop, Flex magazine or Muscular Development. I looked at the magazine, I read the magazine, which was obviously all generic workouts back then. You know, you're doing 6 sets of lat pull down and 6 sets of row, and you read the magazines and you thought, yeah, well, this has got a picture of Ronnie Coleman next to it, and says this is his training plan, so that must be right. So I'm going to follow that training plan. Yeah. And then the next month they've got Jay Cutler's training plan, and you think, oh, maybe I'm going to mix it up this month and do Jay Cutler's training program. But again, there was no, like, I know you obviously followed me on social media and you followed the girls that I competed on social media and learned a little bit from them. Yeah. There was none of that. Like there was none of that in my era of bodybuilding. It was literally you go and talk to the people in the gym who might have a clue about competing. Most of them didn't. So again, you were very, very limited to who you actually got to speak to. And back then, there was no prep coaches as well. Like there was no prep coaches whatsoever back then. Like I did my prep solely based off a Lane Norton YouTube series where he was saying, this is what you probably should be doing in prep. So that was solely what I did.
I remember you telling me about your posing. Wasn't it like 1 week out you were like, oh, I think I need to start posing now?
Well, it was 2 weeks out. Yeah, 2 weeks out. I didn't really know. Again, like there was no posing classes back then. There was no posing teachers. There was none of this. Okay, here's a posing coach for you to go to. This is who you need to see. You sort of, you looked at the pictures in the magazine and you thought, that's how you do a double bicep. Okay, that's how I'm going to hit the double bicep. And it was obviously completely wrong. And then at 2 weeks out, I was like, I probably need a little bit of help going into this show. I then went to to be honest, like I looked all right. There was like, I think about 13 or 15 guys and I can't remember. And I came third, and the 2 guys who beat me are also now IFBB pros. So I did all right in that strong lineup.
Wasn't shocker.
No, I wasn't. Like I could tell. Like again, I weren't looking like the guys in the magazine, but I was like, okay, well, I'm reasonably lean. Like I can see lines through my legs, what some people don't have on stage. Yeah. I can see I've got like feathering in my glutes. Like I'm looking okay. I'm not got a lot of muscle. At 6'2", I was 91 kilos. So not a lot of muscle at all. But you know. Again, I just thoroughly enjoyed that part of the prep. But anyway, I got to 2 weeks out, and around the corner, like 20 minutes from my house, there was a guy called Neil Cranwell, who's now an IFBB pro as well. And I was like, oh, he owns a gym. I'm going to go to his gym and I'm going to get him to coach me. So I go to his gym. First day he's not there. Second day he's not there. I'm now like 10 days out from the show. Anyway, I see him on that day and I said, oh, Neil, I'm doing a show in 10 days' time. Like, can you help me into this show? And he was like, okay, well, let's have a look at you. So we go into the studio, obviously I hit these completely wrong poses. And I could tell by his face, he is a bit like, mate, you've got no idea what you're doing, but you look all right. So let me help you, you look all right, So he helped me into the show, and every day I would go there, every day I would pose with him, every day I would get looked at by him, and occasionally we would train together in that sort of 10-day period. Obviously it wasn't a long time. And he came to the show. He watched me. He gave me encouragement. Like he was shout like I do with my athletes, like shouting at me, like tense hard, and giving me all the encouragement that was needed on the day. And yeah, it's so funny to talk about that now, because there was no one does that now. Like that is deemed as completely wrong.
Now it's like, you should be practicing your posing in off season all the time, and that is what a lot of people are doing. So when you told me that, I was like, 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Right. I need some help now.
Yeah. Well, again, there were people in that show who I went at 2 weeks out that never went at all. Absolutely never went at all. Because you could tell by the fact that they just didn't know what they were doing on stage. They had no idea about the registration, and there was something in me. Again, this is there was nothing nothing written. There was something in me that said, I need help here, like doing this final little bit. I need to go and see this person. And I obviously went to see that person. And then I ended up being coached by some fantastic coaches, like people like Jordan Peters, Milos Sarcev, the late John Meadows, because then I took bodybuilding more seriously. But again, like I was already taking bodybuilding very seriously. Like, don't get that wrong, because I didn't have a coach. It's not like I wasn't taking it seriously. I just didn't know.
Yeah,
like,
that wasn't the norm, like, to be coached.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nobody had a coach. Nobody knew what they were doing. And even like not that many years before I started bodybuilding, like people were taking pictures on a Polaroid, putting them in an envelope and sending them to their coach. You know, they were taking like 3 or 4 days to get there, and maybe the coach was writing them a letter back. Like, you know, like, and again, that wasn't even happening in the UK. That was happening overseas. So yeah, like, you know, we've been brought up in 2 very different eras of bodybuilding. So we have 2 very different experiences in bodybuilding. Which I think is great to talk about. You know, it's absolutely fantastic to talk about, like the pros and cons of it. Like, you know, back then I had no pressure. Like, I had no pressure whatsoever of doing a show, because in all honesty, nobody knew I was doing a show. Apart from the fact that I was dieting and I was getting a little bit leaner. Like, I weren't posting it on social media. I weren't posting updates. I weren't like saying, oh, here's my 6 weeks out pictures and here's my off season pictures. Like, because again, it was weird. Like, it was weird for anybody to even get in their pants and do some posing, you know, and to talk about that was definitely not something that I would ever do. And again, something that is very, very, your era of bodybuilding is posting it, keeping everybody up to date, feeling the pressure of it, where I had no pressure to do my show, like, because no one knew. Yeah,
and I definitely felt like a lot of pressure from that. And I realised that I was bringing that on myself by posting these updates, like things like 3 days out, things like that, or even worse, like longer than that. And then obviously the pressure, like that phrase, pressure is a privilege, obviously it very much is appropriate here, because the reason I felt pressure was because of people supporting me, which is obviously really nice, and it's not something that I don't want. I want people to support me, but having that, and it's almost like a feeling like you're letting people down if you're not achieving what you set out to, or not achieving what you've wanted to. So if I can advise anybody who's getting into bodybuilding, that would probably be my one of my top tips would be to not be blasting it with the updates, or I'm doing this show and I'm doing this and I'm 10 weeks out, because you can go through a prep. People know you're in prep, you're getting leaner, you're dieting, you might be still posting updates, but you don't have to be specific about when. It just takes that like pressure off of it. As well, a lot of people don't care. Reality. Yeah, they don't. Like, they just don't. Right. They don't care how many weeks out you are.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's that social media pressure these days, and I said that's something that I never had, and even the scrutiny of like training, like the scrutiny of training. Now you post something on social media, and you know people are saying, "Oh, that's wrong," and like again. This isn't a million miles ago. Like, this is like 2011, 2010, 2012. Like, we just literally went in the gym and trained as hard as we could. Everybody's form was shocking.
There's no form analysis,
You weren't getting form analysis. All you cared about is, can I lift a bit heavier? And if that meant, okay, my form's gonna be a bit worse, then
my tempo might not be on point.
Yeah, you do it. Like, you think, oh well, I'm gonna get extra 5 aside there. And again, people's form was terrible, but bodybuilding was so fun. Like, it was so fun because genuinely, all we would do is we would eat, train, sleep. No one was an online coach. We all had like, quote unquote, normal jobs where we would go and we'd work during the day and we'd train of an evening or train of a morning, wherever you decided to train. But bodybuilding was so fun. Like, it was so much fun. And if you talk to anybody who's been around a long time in bodybuilding, who's competed for 10, 12 years, that they all, when I talk to them about it, they all say it was so much more fun then. Like, we literally ate as much as we could. We, in all honesty, took as much gear as what we could. Again, like, speaking to people like 12 years ago, blood work wasn't a thing. No one was doing blood work. No one was even looking at blood work. No one was even considering blood work. It was you cruise, you blast and then you're off. You blast and then you're off, and then you blast and then you're off. That's one of the great things about modern bodybuilding. It can be a lot healthier and it can be a lot safer. But the enjoyment aspect, like, for me, just got lost when more and more social media was coming into play. Like, as I said, we would have so much fun in the gym. All we would care about is lifting heavier. We'd push each other to the absolute maximum. We'd eat as much food as what we could. We would just train super heavy. And then as soon as we started dieting, we would get on the fasted cardio, we would get on the cleanse, we would get on everything that we would just do the complete opposite and get absolutely shredded. And again, bodybuilders got shredded then as well. They got really, really shredded. Where again, today, there's so much like science behind it and so much evidence behind it. And so much do this
management
and
blah, blah,
all
blah.
of that. Like again, that phrase never even existed 10 years ago. It never even existed. It was like, oh, I'm quite tired. I'll probably just take a rest day today. No problem. Tomorrow, I'm back on an hour cardio. I'm back on eating white fish and veg. I'm back on eating all of those things that traditional bodybuilders did. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Obviously,
that's just how it was.
That's just exactly just how it was. And we just sort of had so much fun with it. We ate, we just trained super hard, trained really aggressively, grew muscle. And again, just sort of from there, just then, if you were the odd person that competed, then you just try to get as shredded as you can. And that's all you try to do, just get as shredded as you can.
Yeah. So there's definitely still, obviously, the enjoyment side of it there. I think, like you say, it can be lost if people are taking things too far, or if people are feeling that pressure of, I'm filming this exercise, I'm going to post it, so it's got to be absolutely perfect. And then it takes a bit of the enjoyment side out of it. I think I definitely have like a happy medium with training well, training and pushing myself hard and still having the enjoyment aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's sort of how we got into bodybuilding, and the way that I got into coaching, like I said, was simply because of the fact that I was a bodybuilder who would do reasonably well, and then people then, like, it's a bit similar now, people kind of wanted to look like me, and then they said, right, I want to do a show, I want to do well, you seem to do all right, and then like, again, just build up your coaching and from there.
Especially then, because it would have been so niche. Like you say, there weren't online coaches. So if there's anyone in your gym or anyone who knew you that wanted to be coached, nowadays, how many people at the gym are coaches?
Yeah, absolutely.
So many. And there would be none.
Yeah.
So it just would be automatically, you would be the person to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always like quite thankful. I try not to use the word lucky, because I don't think luck is a thing.
No.
I'm quite thankful that I started coaching early, and I've been in the game now 12 years. Like I've been in the game for a long time. Because again, now it's such a dog eat dog world, where back then, like you said, there wasn't a great deal of coaches. And like I said, like back then I coached mostly bodybuilders. I didn't really, there wasn't really many female classes. Like we only had figure and female bodybuilding.
I was going to say, bikini wasn't even a thing, was it?
No, bikini in the UK wasn't a class back then. I just started with bodybuilders, and then I did a lot of figure athletes. I coached a hell of a lot of figure athletes. I think I still hold the record for the amount of figure athletes that have turned pro in the UK. Even though I haven't coached, I've coached now 2 figure girls, and last year and the year before I only had 2 figure girls compete, and neither of them have turned pro. So I still helped 6 UK pros turn pro in figure, as in IFBB pro. And that just shows you the volume of figure athletes that I had competing at the time. One year when the UK BFF was really, really big, and there was 30 girls on stage, out of the top 5, I prepped 4 of the top 5 in figure. And that was Barbara, Ria, Sophie, Sammy, and there was one other girl, I can't think who it was. I'm going to feel bad now because I don't know the other person. But anyway, 4 out of the top 5, I ended up prepping 4 out of the top 5. So yeah, it was like a hell of a ride. And the reason I prepped figure is because it was more muscular class. It wasn't like with the UK BFF, it was sometimes a little bit hit and miss, like a leaner girl would win, a softer girl would win. And I did have bikini girls approaching me to help them, but I just didn't feel comfortable prepping them, knowing that I wasn't the best at what I was trying to do. And I knew I was very, very good at prepping figure. So I prepped a lot of figure girls back then.
So I suppose that's more similar to like male in terms of the criteria of just being lean and obviously having the muscularity there.
Yeah, like a figure is similar, like quarter turns, for example. The quarter turns are exactly the same as a bodybuilding quarter turn. So a bodybuilding quarter turn is face to front, face to right, face to back, face to left, and then that's your quarter turn done. And what they're looking for is very, very similar, apart from like top line muscle. Like again, they're looking at taper, they're looking at a tiny waist, they're looking at good condition. So again, I knew that criteria back to front, and I knew what it took to get somebody to that criteria. And again, like back then, I could speak to the judges just like I can now and say, what are you looking for in this class? Okay, we're looking for X, Y, and Z. Okay, no problem, I can prep for that. Whereas bikini, it wasn't actually very clear cut. It was like, we're looking for a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And I was like, well, you know what? Like, I was helping a couple of girls, and I just stopped coaching bikini athletes. Like, I just stopped coaching them. I said, I can't give you the best results that you want, so I'm not actually gonna coach you anymore. So I actually at one point stopped completely coaching bikini athletes, which now people will hear, and that's a massive surprise. And the way I got back into coaching bikini athletes was when I was prepping Rhea for the British finals. I think she came second that year. She was very, very good friends with Meg Sylvester, and Meg said between the Arnolds, I think, and the British finals, Rob, I know you don't prep bikini girls, but I would like you to help me. And I honestly think my first answer was, I can't, and like I just don't know like well enough like what's going to get you a really top placing. And then I think again we had a conversation, and then I said, okay, well listen, I'll help you into the British finals. And then again at that time, like 30 girls on stage, minimum 30 girls on stage at British finals. I believe she came fourth or fifth, and looked really, really good. Had a really, really positive result coming out of the Arnolds. And then from there, Phoebe asked me to prep her. Again, very good friends with Rhea, very good friends with Meg, I believe. And then Phoebe asked me to prep her, and then Kerry asked me to prep her, and then both of them girls turned pro, and then it was just
Snowball.
like a spiral effect, yeah, from there. So yeah, and now it's probably, like I said, in reality, I've got 2-figure girls who I prep now, and the other probably 50 girls are all bikini athletes. And yeah, that's my coaching journey as well. And again, that's obviously very much condensed because I've been coaching for a long time, but that is now how it went. And now I really only do bikini, wellness. Again, I still have a very small amount of figure and men's physique. And again, I've got a couple of classic bodybuilders as well. So it's gone full circle. It's gone from like all open bodybuilders to now all, not all, but pretty much all females. So obviously I know how you got into coaching, Char. So
Yes.
let us talk about how you got into coaching a little bit more as well.
Yeah, so I used to work in a hotel. I was in the beauty industry. I was managing a spa, and I found it really quite high stress. Like it was a lot of like dealing with figures and like trying to hit targets like that side of things. And that took me away from what I actually enjoyed, which was like treating people and doing massage side of things. So I wasn't enjoying it. So I ended up taking a job at the gym initially, and it was just working within the gym because I loved being there, training there, really liked the environment, and it took me away from the really high stress like work situation that I was in. And then I did it also put me in a really good position to like kind of work my training for my shows around like my work rather than working a 9 to 5. I was doing more like afternoons so I could train during the day, and it just worked really well. So I did my first shows, did really well. And Rob was like, hey, like you should look at potentially like coaching like side of things. Like, do you want to look at pursuing this? And then I joined the team, and Rob mentored me, worked under Team LRF. Then from there, was really successful, obviously under the Team LRF brand. And then we launched the Bikini Coach, which now is myself. I head coach there, along with 5 other girls who are all professional athletes. And yeah, coaching majority is bikini girls. We do have lifestyle coaching as well, a couple of wellness girls as well. But yeah, no male bodybuilders.
Same. But yeah, again, I think that's a really interesting story, and digging a little bit deeper on that as well, and covering some of the things that people might not be aware of is that, again, Charlotte took quite a big pay cut to come and work at the gym. Like it was
actually like half my salary. But I was like so hating my like job. It was like I just dreaded going. I hated it.
And that was during lockdown as well. So obviously people struggling for money to start with, people not having loads of disposable income because obviously incomes were like sort of chopped and so on and so forth. And I don't know what happened or like how there became a vacancy available, but it was in the outdoor gym to start with.
Yeah.
So that we had like during lockdown, like we built loads of sheds outside. So again, it was open air, and then we put all the equipment out there as well. Well, not all of it, but we put a percentage of equipment out there as well. And like obviously everybody was on furlough anyway, so they couldn't work. So I was the one putting in the hours, doing all the hours, so on and so forth. And then I needed to find somebody to take that pressure off of me, and I think that
was when you were coaching a lot of people as well, was it not?
Yeah.
So you had like one of your highest numbers of like clients at that point, I think, as well.
Yeah,
so
probably around about 125, 150 clients then as well. And and then obviously I needed somebody to take that stress and take away that pressure from me. So I think I asked you because, again, I knew you wasn't working, or I knew you was on furlough, or something happened. And so I said, right, do you want a few hours? And again, again, we'll always be open and honest. I think there was a bit of a sticking point for you coming over. Like, I know it wasn't like an immediate, yeah, let's do it. Like, you know, there was a sticking point for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like, going against, well, I don't know, I suppose it felt almost like I stepped backwards, and also kind of like trying to explain to my family. Obviously, you know my mother. Hope she's not listening. That like trying to explain, like, okay, like I'm gonna go away from this job that I've like worked from the bottom to essentially like a nice, not the top obviously, but a nice high role, managing a team of people, to now kind of like I'm gonna go and work at the gym, kind of was how it was gonna come across to her. So yeah, that was definitely a bit of like a back and forth with, should I do it, should I not? And I was just like, I ended up just deciding that it was what I wanted to do, and it was definitely the best choice. Yeah,
for sure. And again, it takes that's a really brave decision, because you've got a steady income. You can see almost a career path. Yeah, okay, the career path might not be as rewarding, or it might not be as
it's safe.
It's safe. It might not be what you dreamed about, but you've got a career path there which says, okay, well, in 5 years' time, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be earning X, and it will take a lot for me to mess that up, to not be on that career path, to swapping over to, I don't know what my career path is. And I'm very, very casual, and I was very, very even more casual then, in terms of about how I dealt with certain things. And I was just like to shout, well, just come and work for us, and I'll give you this much money, and you'll do this many hours, and maybe we'll think about like later down the line bringing you on as a coach, and so on and so forth. And I understand that takes a lot of trust, like from somebody who is, again, in a stable work role, in a stable environment, to say, well, this guy from the gym who I kind of know, like, wants me to work for him, and he's going to pay me this amount, and but it is taking that leap of faith sometimes and saying, well, you know what, like, I kind of trust this guy. I trust him enough to coach me. I trust him enough to, put his time and effort into me. So yeah, okay, let's go for it. And again, that's a really hard thing to do, man. I think there has to be credit given to those people who do take that leap of faith, for sure, because it is a difficult thing to do. So, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So fast forward from there, obviously, took that role on in the gym, started handing clients over, and again, like, getting the first few clients was difficult.
Yeah, I coached a few people for free, like, initially, just to get some results and kind of figure out what I'm doing. And obviously, you're guiding me and helping me, but it was very nerve-wracking at first.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I remember saying to you, obviously, Leanne is somebody who's going to come and work for us as well in the future, saying to you, like, offer her coaching for free. Like, she's very keen on, she'd never competed, but she's very keen on competing. She obviously likes the environment. She travels 40 minutes a day to the gym to train, so it shows some level of dedication. Yeah. I'm definitely not going to big her up here, because otherwise she'll blow her head up.
Yeah.
But I said to her, listen, she's somebody who could look really good, but why don't you coach her? And again, it was like it might have been for free, or might have been really low cost.
It was for free at first, yeah. And then low cost, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you've got to do to start with. Like, you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to go and get those clients. Some of them for free, some of them very, very low cost. But you've got to look at somebody and think, that person could do quite well. What assets do they have? Well, they're traveling 40 minutes to the gym every day already, so shows they're quite dedicated. They seem to stick to the plan. They seem to have an interest in bodybuilding. I think she might even have come to a couple of your shows, and I think, oh, you know what, this person is obviously wants to be involved in this environment. Maybe not to a level of coaching, but she wants to be involved in this environment. Can we help her get in shape? Can we help her? And obviously, even that's one of the first clients.
Yeah, one of my first clients, and she's now pro athlete as well, which is cool. So yeah, but it's just that, like, initial as well, like, even if she wasn't to stay on, like, me learning how to manage clients and deal with clients, and obviously working from there. But yeah.
Yeah, super. So that's our journey in bodybuilding. I won't bore you too much with business journey, but I'm sure we'll touch on it later down the line. But within that whole space that I've spoke about there, which is maybe like a 10 or 12 year span, like, within that time, I've actually opened 3 gyms. One of them I sold, fully sold, which was in London, and then 2 of them I've recently sold 2/3 of them. And within that time again as well, I've invested within properties, I've done properties up, I've tried to manage properties, I've gone back to working full time, I've come out of working full time. So yeah, there's a number of things gone on within that time frame, which again I won't bore you with. I'm sure we'll touch upon in other episodes. But we've got a few questions that people have posed to us. I think we'll take a little bit of time digesting those questions. So I'll get my phone up now and have a look at those questions now. So the first question that came in is actually to do with the gym. It says, what were the main drivers for selling the gyms? So let's do that one next. Let's do this one. Let's do another one first. 3 things you think make a good relationship within fitness. So I think that means as in boyfriend-girlfriend relationship.
Yeah.
So 3 things, Shard, you think, and I'll answer then after, so it gives me a bit of time to think about it.
You gotta think.
So 3 things that you think make a good relationship within fitness.
So I do not understand how, well, I do because it just takes them understanding, which is my key thing, understanding. I don't know how people who are like active or high level athletes or like even just just getting into competing like are with somebody who hasn't competed or like doesn't go to the gym, because to me, I just don't understand how they would relate or get on. Like I feel like there's a lot of...
I think I don't think the person would have to compete. I don't think so. I think I do think they have to have an interest in the
fitness.
thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I understand that for sure, but I don't think they would have necessarily had to compete or have any interest in competing themselves.
Yes, yeah.
But I do think they have to have an understanding, like you say, of fitness and
what you're doing,
what it entails as well. So I think that's a good point. Yeah.
First one, understanding. Second one, you give me your first one.
I think communication, I do think understanding as well, but I think understanding in a different way. The way I think about understanding, because I'm not a bodybuilder anymore by any means. I train and I still enjoy training, but I'm definitely not a bodybuilder by any means. But I understand your goal and I understand how much that goal means to you. But also I think it's important that you understand my goal as well. Now I'm not a bodybuilder. My goal is a lot of time business orientated. A lot of my time, as you know, because obviously we spend most days together, a lot of my time is spent on my business, whether that be in coaching or whether that be talking about the gyms or doing some bits for the gym. So there has to be an understanding both ways. Yeah. So not only do I understand your goals and I understand how important your goals are to you, which again are bodybuilding related most of the time and are coaching related, whereas mine are a bit different. But you understand that, which is key, is you understand that my goals are not bodybuilding related, they're business related, and a lot of the time that will mean, for example, like last night, taking a call at 10:30 at night because it's going to move my business forward. Yeah. And there isn't that sort of, but can't you come to bed, or do you have to take this call? Like there isn't that. Just like when you have to go and do prolonged cardio lessons or posing lessons, I'm not saying, can't we just spend 5 more minutes together? There's that understanding, but on a different level. For me. So the next point that I was going to talk about is communication. So if, for example, that understanding isn't there has to be a communication of, this is how important this is to me. Yeah. This is what this means to me. And in all honesty, if you can't buy into that, then I need to find somebody else. And I need to move on and get somebody else in my life. And I know that sounds really harsh and really hard and really blunt,
but that's how it is.
100%. Yeah. And that's very much the person that I am. And that's why I'm a bit like Marmite with people. Either I get on really well with people or I don't get on well with them at all, is because I am very much like that. Like I say, this is what I need. If you can't bring that value to me or you can't bring that help to me, then in all honesty, I don't need you in my life. I've got enough friends, I've got enough people who I can speak to. I don't need you in my life. And it's better that you're out there than inside causing problems. So I do think that communication is really, really important. And again, I think we communicate quite well in what we do. If I'm, for example, if I'm away for whatever reason, I'm going back to the UK, obviously in a few days for business to go and watch the seminar, make sure the seminar goes well, the posing seminar that is. I'm then obviously going to football while I'm there as well. But again, that's communicated to you, hey, I'm going away during this period of time. This is what I'm doing. Is that cool? Yeah, that's cool. That's good. And again, I think communication on your side of things is good as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's our 2 then.
That's 1 each. 1 each. Go on, let's see what we got.
Okay. So we got understanding, communication.
I've got another one.
Yeah, you go then.
Okay.
Let me think
This
about
is not
my
Rob's
next one.
free, by the way. This is we're having
Three,
another
we're
one.
done.
I obviously I think with any relationship, whether it's in fitness or not, there has to be like an adequate physical attraction as well. Like, and again, I know that probably sounds like a given, and I know I'm a very handsome man, so I can say that. But there has to be a physical attraction to the other person. Because otherwise, again, this is just more emphasised within fitness. Like, there are a lot of people in fitness who look very good, like who look really good, who are attractive.
This is true, yeah.
Like who are attractive, you know, barring Charlotte, everybody, I'm joking. But there are obviously a lot of people in fitness who are attractive, who are, again, like...
Especially in this industry as well, like quite like everyone, a lot of the time, everyone knows everyone, or like through social media as well. So yeah,
absolutely. And not only are they, like, they're attractive people, they're putting themselves out there as well. You go onto their Instagram page, you can see everything that they're wearing, everything that they look
not wearing,
and not wearing, so on and so forth. So again, there has to be that physical attraction, because if there isn't that physical attraction, then it's very easy within fitness to say, I want this. Or I want that, because it's on your doorstep, like it's right on your plate. Like, you can be very, very like easy to just click onto someone's social media and be like, oh, that person's like absolutely fit, or like, again, but if you haven't got that at home, then you'll probably go and seek that. So I think there does have to be a physical attraction to that person as well.
Yes, no, agree. So ensuring that you like allocate time to do stuff together that is not like fitness related. So it can still be obviously like, I suppose still, just allocating time to do stuff outside of fitness and outside of those goals, I think.
Yeah, and it's worth sharing what we do, because again, people might not understand that. So most Sundays, we don't do any check-ins unless we're at shows or very, very close to prep. So we might have a handful of check-ins, for example, if people are on peak weeks or 6 weeks out and so on and so forth.
An easy morning day.
Yeah, so again, we might get that knocked out like within an hour. And then we set that day aside for our own activities. So we'll go to the beach, or we'll go for a nice meal if Char's not in prep, or we'll go for like maybe take the dog out somewhere. Like, again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it gets you connecting outside of the fitness sphere, where you're probably, again, in all honesty, you're probably going to talk a little bit about fitness, but that's okay. Like, what we're not doing is like solely looking at fitness, talking about fitness, and doing all the fitnessy things. Like, we are doing things outside of that, where we're going to say, right, we're going to, we're going to go to the beach, and we're going to go play in the sea, and we're going to go. I was going to say get the balls out, but but we get like a foosball out, and then we're going to foosball, and then we're going to play with a foosball. So yeah, like all of little things like that. Like, again, we're in the old house, so we had a big garden. We played badminton.
Like, again, things like that.
Sounds really sounds a bit gay, but it just gets you away.
That we like to do and enjoy doing together. And also a big thing is that then we're both not working, like, because with the job role that we have, it's very easy to be sitting watching a film together and you're working, like, or just look at your phone for a sec, you're working, or like there's no work hours, is there? So having that Sunday or whenever it would work for you, does
whatever your Sunday is. I do think you have a time of the week where you are dedicated to that person, and you are solely thinking about that person, because like you say, like, again, maybe comes back to understanding. When we are watching a film and I am sat on my laptop doing some work, or you're sat on your laptop doing some work, there isn't that get off your laptop.
Yeah, why are you doing
we're
that?
We're watching a film. Like, there's comes back to that understanding. So it's maybe full circle that, like, again, we know, again, because we know we're having this Sunday together, we know that, okay, well, this person's working, and again, having that full understanding and full open honesty that I know you're working, I know you're not pissing about, like, like, absolutely fine. I'll crack on and watch this film.
If we want to watch a film, we have to go to the cinema.
Absolutely, yeah.
No phones allowed.
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And again, no talking, which is free.
Even better.
So I think those three are like or four maybe that we've got there, like are really, really important, for sure. Right. So what was it? Other questions?
One was about the gym, wasn't it?
Yeah, one about the gym, but I've covered that a little bit anyway. So what are some of the traits of the best clients that you work with?
Cool.
That's a good question.
Yeah, good question.
I don't mind kicking this one off unless you want to.
Yeah, you can go. You can go.
So
that off.
I think a really clear goal is going to be one of the biggest traits, and also the goal meaning a lot to you, not because other people think you should have that goal. And I think that's a really, really important point, is the latter end of that comment, is because I had a concept call with somebody the other day and they said, yeah, I want to compete because everybody tells me I'll be really good, And I said, if that is the first words out of your mouth, you will not complete this prep. You want to compete because you enjoy it. You want to compete because you do it. And literally the first thing they said to me was, I want to compete because everyone thinks I'll be really good at it. No, that is not a reason to compete, because when it gets hard and when you start dieting down and when you're going to have to do cardio, when you're going to have to wake up early, when you're going to have to eat no food or little food, that there's going to be a point where you say, this just ain't fucking worth it. This just ain't worth it. So you have to, one, have a really clear goal, and second to that, you have to really want that goal, and not because someone wants it for you. You've got to really want it yourself. So that would be point like one, but maybe A and B.
Yes. Work ethic, and that can definitely improve and like blossom with somebody. I do find like sometimes people can come to you, and especially if they've not been coached before, like I do work with first timers who like might be their first coaching experience, like they've never even done any like lifestyle or anything like that before, and you can tell like that they've got that work ethic there, or sometimes they have a little bit, but it can definitely be taught and can blossom. But I think you initially will kind of know, you get a vibe, don't you, I think, from people.
Yeah, like if for example you send out the plan and the first thing that somebody says is, hey, I want to change 20 of these foods and I can only train 2 days a week, actually even up at 5 on my questionnaire, and can I have 3 cheat meals a week, then you're going to be looking at it thinking, God, this ain't going to be a success. Like, this is going to be tough. You
just
as a coach.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, like you definitely get that vibe from working with somebody. Like nowadays, obviously we have the like initial questionnaire period and consult call and stuff like that, and you know, again, like I'm always brutally honest. Like if I don't think a client is right, or I don't think they're right for me, or I don't think they're right for the team, then I will genuinely say, I think you need to find another coach. And this, again, got example of this week. Only this week that happened. Somebody who said, hey Rob, I can't find out where X is. And I've got no problem with somebody saying that. And I said, okay, well, I did explain that in the walkthrough video. Please go back and watch the walkthrough video. No problem. 3 or 4 days later, hey Rob, I can't find where Y is. Again, it was something that I explained in the walkthrough video. Please go back and watch the walkthrough video because everything is explained in that walkthrough video. Oh, okay, no problem. Rob, how do I check in? Again, it's explained. So again, I'm having to repeat myself over and over and over. And I know that if somebody like
this is like step one, like
the basics, like you're missing the basics. I've sent you out a 10-minute video on how to follow the plan, how to get everything done, how to do your check-ins, how to do all of that. And I've asked you 4 times to watch that video, because obviously I send it out initially. Please watch this video and reply with any questions that you might have. I've watched you 4 times to ask a 10-minute video and you haven't watched it. Like that says to me,
red flag.
Yeah, 100%. You are not ready for coaching. And that was my response. I don't think you're ready for coaching because I've asked you to watch this video 4 times. And a very, very good thing on Loom is it tells you how many times that video has been watched. 0 was the answer. So I clicked onto the Loom, I screenshot it, and I said, this video says it's been watched 0 times. Can you confirm that you've watched this video? And then the person said, oh no, I was going to plan to watch it tonight. And I said, obviously, I've asked you 4 times to watch it, and you keep repeating the same questions, and you've still not watched the video. So this shows that this is not going to be a successful prep, and I'm going to refund you your money back. There's your full, you've got your full plan, you've got your full walkthrough video. Please watch it, and there's your money back as well. So like 100%, like work ethic, just even the most basic things, like taking the time to watch a walkthrough video and watch it properly, like is a really, really important.
And we're not saying there's a problem with asking questions at all, but the questions are coming from stuff that you've already explained, and it's very simple. Just watch it, and it's there.
Absolutely. Like again,
I don't have any issue with somebody asking me loads of questions. Yeah.
No, like again, like I'll use a client as an example. Like Marta, very, very successful athlete.
Yes.
When I sent her plan, she sent me 17 questions back. 17 questions, wrote them all out, and not many of them had I explained. There was obviously a couple that I'd said, this is why we're doing this is how we're doing this. And she would say, for example, right, in my gym, the adductor is broken. What is the next best alternative for that? Which again, I didn't know that in the walkthrough video. I didn't know her adductor was broke. So again, that's an absolutely fine question to ask. Hey Rob, foods raw or cooked? Again, that's sometimes explained in a walkthrough video. On that walkthrough video, I hadn't explained that thing to her. So again, perfectly fine question to ask. So, and that's a client that's been with me for probably 3 years. So initially, bang, 17 questions, awesome, great stuff. It shows to me, questions show to me that you care.
And you're keen,
and you're keen, and you want to find out all the 1%ers. But the questions that are constantly being repeated, then that is a red flag absolutely to a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that's trait number 2. Trait number three again, it might be a little bit up for debate, but I find that trait number 3 would be that they're successful in other parts of their life as well, not just bodybuilding. Like you're successful in a relationship if you have one, like you have a good solid relationship. That tells me that not only are you good at fitness, but you're good at things as a whole. You're blossoming in your career. I'm not saying you've got to be at the top of the pile, but you're moving forward in your career, whatever it might be. I do find that people who are really successful at one thing are quite good at other things as well, and their career is blossoming at the same time. Like I said, you ain't got to be top of the pile at what you do, but because you've got that work ethic in bodybuilding, a lot of the times that work ethic will relate to your relationship, it will relate to your work, it will relate to anything that you do, just playing a game like you want to win, like, whatever it might be. And that is something that I always find in like really successful people as well. Another one? I know it's 3, but let's do 2 each.
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. So, let's see, we've got a couple more questions here.
I thought you meant another question. I was like, okay, wait.
Oh, no. So there's 2 other questions. So the other one is, what were the main drivers in selling the gym? And the other one there is, the biggest mistake you see people make chasing a pro card. We can do that one, then we can do the gym one.
Yeah. Okay. Biggest mistake would be if you are not actually close, continuing to do shows, and not just giving it a rest and going into off season. I know that I am somebody who maybe was considered a serial competitor. However, I was very close or in the overall multiple times. If you are like not even like not winning a class, then you need to be not competing, thinking you're on the hunt for it, because you're not, without sounding horrible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one thing to emphasise there is that just because your coach says that you're close, if your results don't replicate that, you're not close.
Yeah.
Like if your coach says, you get a 5th one week and next week you get a 4th and the week after you get a 4th, and they say, you're really, really close. You're not, because you've got 3 people to beat in your class to still start with. That's 3 people just in your class, and then you've got to go into the overall, and then you've got to beat everybody in the overall. Like that doesn't make you close. Like maybe if you haven't peaked for that first show and you get a 5th, and I can actually be 20% better, then awesome, then go again. But if you are going into a show and you're getting 3rd, 4th, maybe even pushing to a 2nd, but maybe the class was only 3 people. That doesn't mean you're close. It just means that you have done better in possibly a weaker lineup.
Or getting into an overall, but there was no one in your class apart from you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's another thing that, absolutely.
Thinking you're close, but like you haven't actually beaten anyone to get there.
Yeah, and you've been stood outside in the overall the whole time. 100%. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is putting like so much emphasis on the card.
Yeah.
Like it will always be there, and it will be given to you when you are ready. That is like a really, really important part. The card will always be there, and it will be given to you when you are ready. Like I can't emphasize that enough. Like ready is obviously a bit of a loose word. Like no one feels ready to turn pro, but when all the stars align, when every box is ticked, when you've shown up good consistently, then the stars will align on that day, and you will be ready.
Yeah.
Like we've said, if you're getting 4ths, 5ths, 3rds, that the stars are not going to align anytime soon.
Yeah.
Go back, build some muscle. But when you are close, it's very, very unlikely that you will get it at the very first attempt.
Yeah.
Char probably took 8 or 9 attempts to get it.
Yeah.
I remember prepping Kerry, took 6 shows. She was class win, literally won every class. Win. And then on the 6th attempt, got it. Joe Brightman, probably 4 attempts, maybe 5. Win, 2nd win, card. Gabby, again as well, came 2nd in Alicante, won the I think came 2nd at Alicante, came 2nd at the finals, won naturals overall and then got the card. So it was very, very close. Like the stars aligned for her on that day. But again, if it didn't and the stars didn't align, it was going into off season and then going and growing rather than saying, right, we need to chase the card and we need to go and get this. Because if the card is the overall goal, when you get that, you'll be satisfied for that moment in time, and then you go and do your first pro show and you're like, shit, I'm absolutely dead last. Yeah. So yeah, it's important to get it when you're ready.
Yeah, one thing that I like always said and like stand by is that I like really enjoyed the whole process of it, and like maybe if you'd asked me having just come off of like stage and not having got the card, I would have told you a different story. But now looking back at it, I genuinely wouldn't change it because I've got to go to loads of different countries, like competing like loads of different places, loads of different experiences. And I think, just reaching it, like you say, when the stars align and when everything is on point. I enjoyed like the journey of it and the process of it. Yeah, absolutely.
So the last question then was, what were the main drivers then for selling the gym? One for me. So obviously there are financial drivers with everything, okay? The offer on the table was good, it was strong, it was at the valuation which the independent evaluator came at, which was great. I'd have offers before which were slightly below that, and I'll be honest, like I said before, like I'm quite casual in it. I can't be bothered to go back and forth and argue with someone over 50, 60 grand, 70 grand. I'd just be like, listen, the offer's not there, this is the price, this is what I want. And the offer came in. So there was obviously a financial driver to that, but that's not the only driver. Okay, like I said, if a financial driver was the only driver, I would have sold it for 50, 60, 70K less and just thought, I'm getting out of this. The guys that have taken over the gym at Muscle Heart have got a really good vision, and there are things which are really positive happening within the gym that wouldn't have happened unless they were there. So that's another really, really positive thing as well. It's allowed me to step back quite a lot as being involved in the gym every single day. Whereas before, I'm the point of contact for absolutely everything at Herne Bay. I'm the point of contact for absolutely everything at Ashford. If something goes wrong, my phone's blowing up. They're calling me that, Rob's going on with this. I don't have that anymore. I don't have staffing issues. I don't have to deal with any of that anymore. So it's allowed me to take a step back and then, be able to live a little bit more comfortably. Again, I was 26 when I first owned a gym. So I've done this now for 10 years. I've worked every single day for 10 years. I only went on my first proper holiday, probably 18 months ago, when everything was settled in 10 years. Obviously, I'd been away to shows and been away with shows, but you're working at shows.
It's not a holiday.
Yeah, no, it's not a holiday because you're checking in with people, and every 5 minutes your phone's blowing up because they're checking in every couple of hours and so on and so forth. So there was definitely a financial driver for that, and I needed to take that step back. There was definitely a willingness to step back a little bit as well and not have to deal with the day-to-day problems within that business. The vision as well, the vision of these guys is something that is really, really motivating. And I still have a third of these businesses, and it's driving me forward, and it's sort of giving me the willingness to get up and work for the gyms again as well, where I was losing that a little bit. I hadn't lost it, but I was losing it a little bit. So those are the three factors that really sort of decided, right, I'm going to sell the gym. Was financially, it ticked all my boxes, absolutely ticked all my boxes. There was a great vision there for the guys who wanted to take over and wanted to build upon what fantastic foundations LRF would give them. And then I said, lastly, was taking that step back and moving away from sort of the day-to-day, grueling, bits that having a gym actually entails. So that was that, really, to be honest. Awesome. So that is the wrap on the first episode. We've got some fantastic guests coming up over the next few weeks. Really, really looking forward to showing you these guests. We've got some fantastic prizes as well coming up as well, which we're going to be giving away. So please like, subscribe, share. We won't be running any ads. It's only going to grow organically. So hopefully you've really enjoyed this episode. Charlotte, thank you. Obviously, I know you'll be back.
Thank you.
Yep, and Charlotte will be my co-host throughout these episodes. So when we've got these guests, Charlotte's going to ask some questions. I'm going to ask some questions, which will be great. So thanks ever so much. As again, please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and then we can bring us on some even more fantastic guests. Take care.
Thank you.